Well, welcome to those of you in the room and on Zoom that have been watching me try to get myself mic'd up. It's a great day to be at the zoo, and I am proud to be a Rotarian. If you're a member of the club and you didn't sign in on your way in, please sign in on your way out. And if you would turn and look at Bob Clausen right now, and if you didn't sign in, raise your hand so that he can take your attendance. Thank you. Isn't this great? I love it. So let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you brought a guest today, if you'd start coming up to the podium and introduce your guests to us in the room and folks on the Zoom. So Grace has a guest. Come over here in front of the camera. And
hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to introduce Becky Dickinson. She is my friend, and she is the co-owner and vice president of the Rob Company, which owns and manages Brooklyn Shopping Center and 21st and Bell. So her dad was a Rotarian. I think our dads were probably Rotarians together. She has been to the Christmas party a couple of years ago, a couple of decades, and she is a prospective member. So,
yay.
Thank you.
What a treat for me to bring this young lady who's been to several meetings of our club before, except they were always the Christmas meeting, and she was in the cookie line down at Ramada. But this is my daughter, Sarah.
Welcome.
She's also a Rotary.
If you didn't notice, John, where's the prospective badge? Oh, on the desk over here, just inside the door, John has got our potential new badge program on display. We're working on that. There are volunteer sign-up sheets on your table. There's a Rotary survey. We have a couple more days for that on your. So if you haven't filled out a survey, if you have filled out a survey, please observe the Rotary four-way test and don't fill out a second one. The retreat this last weekend used the results that we have to start looking at next year and how we're going to go forward with Rotary in the coming year. We have a new member here today that just got approved by the board. Ben Coates is right here. Ben, stand up and wave. I think Ben left something on your table also.
Yes, the KPW just got their second annual Women on Wheels car show. So it's a car show just for the ladies. So we're having our second annual, and our first one was actually a bigger success than we thought it was going to be. So we hope this year to be even better.
Great.
So, yeah, some information.
Thanks. And I don't see Gianna, so I'll ask Dr. Gimple to come give us a brief Ukraine update. I'm going to hand you the microphone.
In Jana's absence, I thought you'd like to know what's going on with Ukraine. There are two families in our city now. I've really only had contact with one, but Jana's has contact with both of them. And this young lady, she's 40. She has two small kids. They're 7 and 4. Grandma's with her. Her English is great. Grandma's English is non-existent. Somebody has given them a car, a good car, a van, and the kids are going to school. So they're on their way. She will be allowed to work here. She's employed by Samsung as an account manager in Ukraine. She actually still is working on her computer in the middle of the night in Ukraine, but that won't last long. And she'll need a job here. So this is an excellent computer literate, English speaking employee. If you know of needs, let Yana or me know. So she's very grateful for the help she's gotten from Rotary.
Thank you, Dr. Kimball. Yes, sir.
Could we talk just a little bit about what our giving to Rotary Foundation might do and how we can go
And this is the last day. We're collecting all the cup money that we're collecting in April is going to Rotary International and going through Rotary International to help Ukrainians overseas. And so we can talk about what we're going to do to help Yana's friends that have come and landed in Topeka at a future date. But the funds that we're collecting today are all going through Rotary International to support Ukrainian relief. Did that answer your question?
These two young women were driven to the border by their husbands. Their husbands went back to fight. They came to our country. With her husband in Ukraine. So are you asking how do you think of anything other than that money? Yeah.
So the question is, how can we donate if you're not putting it in the cup? And Bob Clausen's going to answer this.
So I'll try and answer that question. There is an end date, which is actually Saturday, on receiving money that goes specifically to that fund. At this point, I'm not in a position to be able to get money here and then to them in time. But what you can do is you can go onto Rotary International site and make that direct donation yourself.
And the club will give you credit for that because you're a member of our club.
Online. You can do that on their website. Pardon?
If there's on the right-hand side, download files, there's a link at the very top one, it says,
1 second.
and I know because I put it there.
Colleen is telling us that there's a link on our website, and she's about to come up here and tell everyone.
Just for the people on the Zoom. So if you go onto our website, topekarotary.org, on the right-hand side, there'll be a menu of download links. The very top one is entitled Rotary International Relief. And there are links that should be hyperlinks and clickable links in there that will take you directly to the donation site.
Super. Thank you for that great question and great answers. RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. Our club has a goal of and budgeted scholarships for 2 high school scholars to go to RYLA camp. So if you have anybody in that, we talked about this a lot last week, but just a reminder, we still have a couple days to get candidates in. The club survey is on your table. Again, if you haven't, Marie gave me a note that survey is open until May 2nd. And now Kathleen Hine has another Rotary announcement.
Thank you, Steve. Some of you may be aware that Patty Mellard, who started the CAT Club, the Rotary Club with District 5710, which stands for Community Action Against Human Trafficking. And Patty and the group have taken it upon themselves to apply for a $25,000 grant through State Farm. It was a project that they initiated, and they have been selected as finalists for the grant. And as such, now it goes out to a national vote. And so I have put these flyers on your table. If you can go right to the QR code, it'll take you right to the website. You can vote up to 10 times a day. And you can actually default that on your vote, so it will vote 10 times every day. And I was just told that also it will give you a reminder to vote every day. What the grant is for is to assist women who are being released from prison. There are 50 women every week that are released from prison, every month in our community. And they're very susceptible to getting back into human trafficking just because they don't have the resources that they need to be successful once they're released. So what this grant will do is help them with very basic resources, bus tickets, money for food, etc., essential clothing, all the necessities that they may need leaving jail. They're also going to have Rotary volunteers that will help them with mentorship and provide support, help forge collaborations for post-incarceration referrals to trauma-informed therapy and substance treatment. And that's what they're using the funding for, is for the most basic needs that they have. So it's a fantastic project. It will really help those in our community who need it most. And we have the opportunity to help push that along and help that grant be successful and win. So please vote as you can. If you have any questions at all about the grant, the project, you can contact Patty Miller, and she knows everything about it. But there you go. Thank you.
So, Rotarians helping people locally and all the way across the world. That's another reason why I'm proud to be a Rotarian. Our speaker today will be introduced by Vince Fry.
Thank you. So I don't know which one of those, if you want to enter. Okay. Well, many of you know that sports has been a big part of my life, and really, when I moved to Topeka, I didn't know anybody. But sports connected me to this community. I played whatever the sport was in the season: City League, basketball, football, volleyball. They even had City League football, and played into my 50s. So after that, I thought, well, how can I continue to be involved in sports? And I've been very fortunate because I was president of what was called the Topeka and Shawnee County Sports Council. I've been on the board of the Sunflower State Games for 30 years and was president years ago. And I am currently, and have been from its inception, the chairman of the Topeka and Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee. So our speaker today happens to be in that Sports Hall of Fame. In fact, the very first year we inducted people was 2006. And he was inducted with Lon Kruger, Mike Torres, Melvin Douglas, Olympic gold medal winner from Highland Park High School, and Billie Jean Moore, who coached the first women's Olympic basketball team that took a silver medal. Ken is a graduate of Washburn Rural High School. He excelled in many sports, wound up at Wichita State University where he played football and basketball. And the next summer, he was a free agent signee by the Chicago White Sox. And in 1961, he made his major league debut with the Chicago White Sox at age 21. He played center field, most notably with the White Sox from 62 to 75. He was a Gold Glove winner and an American League All-Star in 1967. He played for the Angels, the Brewers, and the Indians over those years. He, we'll joke about this, but many years ago, the Capital Journal put together a list of the top 100 athletes ever to come out of Shawnee County. And he was listed as the #2 greatest athlete ever to come out of Shawnee County, right after Mike Torres. He will argue the point that he should be #1. Okay. The Hall of Fame, if you haven't been to see it, is in the library. And it's been there for many years. It's really pretty cool. A lot of it is on digital, but there are portraits of everybody. And he's also a member of the Kansas State Sports Hall of Fame. And what's interesting is several years ago, he decided to become an author. He's written many books, some for children, some novels. He has them laid out over here so you can take a look and even order something you like. So it's my pleasure to introduce an all-star Gold Glove winner, right from Topeka, Kansas.
Whenever Mike Flores and I hunted together, fished together, and when he was named number one, I was number two, I said, I'm going to do some checking because I think you're probably an illegal. So I'm still checking on it. I haven't had any luck. Now, Gary Woodland, I think, just recently moved into the number one spot, so I'm down to number three. So I may not mess with it. I played my first game right by the Discovery Center when I was 8 years old. I'm going to give you a little old school. This is the way you do it in the old school. I was pitching. They had the benches that were about this high. Went over for a ball, dove, cut my chin open, took me to the emergency room, stitched it up. I came back and I threw the last inning. That's old school. My first game in professional baseball, we've been to spring training, come out of spring training, go to Clinton, Iowa. That was where my first team was, Clinton, Iowa. And it's raining for 3 days. We go to Davenport to open up. And it's still raining. So finally, the third day, they say, okay, we're going to play. So we go out in the bus, get off the bus, and I see a helicopter sitting right on the field, spinning, and I see gasoline being burned. They're trying to get the field dry. Well, they didn't do a very good job. It was pretty muddy. So the first game is over, and we lose 3-1. They introduce the teams, and of course they get to me, and I said, playing center field for the Clinton Sea Sox, Ken Berry. Now they get to their team, which was the Cincinnati Reds. They say playing center field for the Davenport Reds, Ken Berry. So there were 2 Ken Berrys playing center field. He hits 2 home runs. I go 1 for 3, which I would accept that. A lifetime 250 hitter will always go for a 1 for 3. And he hits 2 home runs and we lose 3-1. Well, you have to picture my dad back here in Topeka. We're 921 Hedgewood, which is about 8 blocks that way. And he gets the paper and Barry homers twice and Davenport wins. And they only score 1 run, the Clinton team. He calls me up. Boy, how can you hit 2 home runs and you only score 1? Did you miss second base or something? So anyway, I got through that and ended up, I didn't go, Vince, I didn't go in 61 with the call-up because I was too young, or not too young, but too inexperienced. In 62, 63, and 64, after I finished playing, our season, then what they do is they protect 40 guys, 25 in the big leagues, another 15 in the minor leagues that they think if they don't protect them, another team can draft them. So I was on that draft, and they usually bring those guys to the big leagues. So my first go around in 1962, I think I had 5 at-bats and I had 1 hit or something like that. So we didn't play much. We just came up to see what it was like and all that. So ended up my second year, I did okay. The first year I had 300. So they moved me up to C ball. This is back when you had class D, C, B, A, AA, and AAA. So I was from D to C, which was in Visalia, California. So I called my dad up. I got a bonus. So I had a $4,000 check coming. I said, I've always wanted a Corvette. And he said, well, he said, want me to look around here? And I said, well, yeah, sure. And then I looked the same day. I found a $3,500 Corvette in Visalia, California. He called me and says, I found one for $2,500 here in Topeka. I said, what's it look like? He says, it's black, red interior, white top, 2 4 barrels. I said, that's enough. That's enough. $2,500. I'll take it. So it's May, late May. My brother, somebody's got to drive it to Visalia because my folks are driving in their car. So there's 2 cars coming to Visalia. My brother in one, totally sunburned because he said all the girls come by and then they slow down and they wave. So he was sunburned. He didn't want the top up. So they get there and I see him in the stands and I wave, and I have not even got up there to talk to him yet. The coach and the manager, after the game's over, called me in his office. Sit down, close the door, and sit down. Said, you're going to Savannah, Georgia. That center fielder there just quit. So Savannah, Georgia is over here, and Visalia is over there. It's about 4,000 miles different, something like that. So my brother smiled real big when I told him, because that meant he had to drive the Corvette back to Topeka. But the block cracked when he got to Topeka. The block was cracked. It was in Van T Chevrolet the entire summer. I never did get to drive it, but about 2 times. So I had a little deal in 1969. My favorite group, singing group, came out, and you'll probably remember. Creedence Clearwater Revival had Proud Mary. Well, Proud Mary became my favorite song. So I went to the Jayhawk Roof Gardens, and there were about twice this many people, and most of them I knew, my wife and I knew. So one of my buddies comes over and says, hey, said, they played Proud Mary, you want to sing? No, why not? You know, everybody's been drinking, so they won't know the difference, whether I'm good or bad. So I went up and I sang, and they clapped a little bit. They thought it was okay. So Jim Maloney played with the Cincinnati Reds team in 60, the year that right before I signed. He was here in Topeka. He married a Topeka girl from Highland Park. D. Ray Doherty was a good friend of mine, was his sister. So they got married. Well, years later, after I've been in the big leagues for about 6, 7 years, I'm rooming with Jim Maloney. Jim Maloney would go around. I'm trying to sleep. I'm playing every day. I'm trying to sleep. And Jim Maloney would come in my room and say, Roomy, get up. I found the place. They play Proud Mary. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning. He wanted me to get up and go sing. So we go to spring training in 1970. I get traded after 1970. I get traded to the Angels in 71. And Tony Caniglaro got hit in the head with a ball, and he got traded from Boston to the Angels. He sang professionally in the fall back in Boston. So we're going to have an Angel Dodger banquet, and we're playing a couple of games right before the season starts. Then they have this big banquet, 3,000 people inside the Hilton with television cameras and the whole bit. And so we're done with practice one day, and he says, come with me. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting in the front seat, and he's driving. He says, I hear you do Proud Mary. I said, yeah, I do it. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I do it. He said, well, do it. So I said, now, a cappella? He said, yeah. So I sang it, and he said, here's the deal. Maury Wills was supposed to play the banjo for the Dodgers. That was their deal. And he was going to sing 2 or 3 Beatles songs. That was his deal. He said, but Wills is checking out, so I want you to do it. I said, okay, the only way I'll do it is we'll go down early with the band at 6:30, because the thing didn't start till 7 or 7:30. I said, we'll go through it one time, and if the band doesn't faint or they they boo and say, no way, we're playing with this guy, then I'll do it. So we go down, I sang it, the band guy says, or the lead guitarist says, what key do you want this in? I don't know anything about keys. I can't read music. I just try to sing it like Creedence. He says, we'll play it like Creedence. Okay. So now you have to picture the Angels, the podium's here. Angels go that way, 25 guys, and I'm on the end. The Dodgers go this way, 25 guys, and they're done. Then the place where the band is over here. So I'm sitting there, and I'm starting to sweat because Tony's about done. He gets done with his song, and he says, we've got a guy on our team that thinks he can sing. If he's got any guts, he'll come up here. And he introduced me. So, of course, he and I were the only ones that knew. So I go up there. Left to get job in the city, working for a man every night and day. Okay, so I got through it. Second verse, threw the mic up, spun around, caught it. One more verse, finish it up on the rolling on the river. And I got a standing ovation. And everybody asked me, what was some of your highlights in your career? That was one of them. My wife gets mad when I say it's number one, but it was pretty darn close. For a sort of a downer, I was selected on the All-Star team. And this is back when you have to picture that the All-Star team now is like, you said, oh, you can vote 10 times every day. Well, you can do that in the All-Star game voting now. Back when I played, it was the coaches and the managers, and that was it, and the players. And they voted. Well, they took 5 outfielders. I was number 4. And that's Torres and then me, but number 4. So we go into Baltimore, and the manager is Hank Bauer, and he's the manager of Baltimore. He's the manager of the All-Star team. So the first thing happens, I get off the bus, walk into the clubhouse, and one of our sports writers comes up and says, Bauer's not taking you. So what do you mean? He said, he's not going to take you to the All-Star game. I'm going, well, okay, I don't know why. So first inning, I hit a home run to left field, and I run around third base, and I tell Bauer what I thought of him, and probably shouldn't have, obviously, but we get done. Next day, Frank Robinson slides into Al Weiss with his head to break up. If you ever want to go play and break up a double play, you do it with your feet. You don't do it with your head. Frank did it with his head. Double vision. He's got double vision. He can't see, so he can't go to the All-Star game. And I thought, he's not going to take me. I'm not taking Barry. That's Bauer's voice. So Sunday rolls around, and Tuesday's the All-Star game. Sunday, Al Kaline pops up with the bases loaded and breaks his knuckle on a water cooler. I'll take Barry. So now I'm going to be in an All-Star game. You know, I'm really feeling great about it because I know that I'm not wanted. But so go to Anaheim. There's a shadow. And if you've ever tried to hit major league pitching, there's a shadow. When the shadow's across home plate and it starts moving this way, it's difficult. There were, I think, 40 guys. I mean, you can name them. Just start naming Mays, McCovey, Aaron, Mantle, all the way down the line. Guys are striking out 2 or 3 times. Well, I'm down on the end cheering, hoping that Bauer will put me in the game so I can do what I do best, and that's play defense, hoping I can make a catch or something, dive and get a ball. So I'm sitting there, and the score is, I think, 1-1 or 2-2. 16th inning, 2 outs. We're down by a run. Barry, get a bat. Well, yeah, I'll get a bat. Take 2 swings, not loose. Get up there, and Tom Seaver is on the mound. He throws 3 pitches. I swung at all 3. I gave my best effort. All-Star game was over. So people that ask me, hey, wasn't it great being in the All-Star game? how can I say yes? I have to say, well, it was a little different, you know, so. Anyway, my strength, as I mentioned, was my defense. I had 2 years that I made no errors, 69, 72. I didn't make but 1 error in 73. So I haven't figured it out yet. If I didn't make an error in 69, but I got a gold glove in 70, and I hit 270, was it really about your defense or your offense? Because in 72, I hit 289 and got a gold glove. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy to have 2 of them. And I still want to leave out one of these stories here. When I was in high school, I played football, and I had a situation where we were playing Silver Lake. Anybody's from Silver Lake, I don't have any hard feelings about this, but we're in the first quarter, and I ran a sweep around the right end and end up right in front of our bench. And one of the Silver Lake guys is on top of me, and the other one is on top of me, hitting me in my back and actually punching me. And so I'm trying to kind of fight my way up to get back to the huddle, and I put my feet under the guy that's on top of me and the hands on his chest. I pushed him off and ran directly to the huddle. I didn't say a word. 33, you're out of the game. They kicked me out. So, okay. 50 years later, I'm up around Silver Lake because I work for Marvin Spies, who most of you know, with Capital City Oil. I sold propane tanks to people that were building new houses. And so I'm up there and I see 4 trucks and a big barn. I thought, well, you know, got all these farm guys up here. They'll know if anybody's going to build a new house. So I pull in and park and get out. And I walk up to the first guy and I say, hi, I'm Ken Berry. He wouldn't let go of my hand. He said, I was the one holding you down. I wasn't the one hitting you. And this happened the same year. I don't know why these things happen like this, but sometimes they do. The same year we beat Haskell, who my first year I transferred from what used to be Roosevelt Junior High out to Washington Monroe. So I had to sit out a semester. So I get on the bus with all the cheer people that go down and cheer, the fans, and I'm a fan, I'm not a player, so I couldn't suit up. So I'm sitting up in the Haskell Stadium, the wind's out of the north, and it's about 30 degrees. I am just totally freezing. And we get beat 81-0. Now they come back to Washington Monroe, first year I'm able to play, and they beat us 28-14. And they used to have a play, you girls won't probably know this, I'm going to explain this. They used to have a play they called the Lonesome End. It's where you didn't have to go to the huddle. You didn't have to run in and huddle up with everybody. You could run by and say, I'm going out. And then go over. And what I would do is stand right in front of our bench, this far inside the fair territory. And then Rod McMasters, who a lot of you would know, would set up and look. The play was called to give it to this guy over here. If I was covered, he'd go, he'd look and see I wasn't covered, and he'd take the ball and go and make it to here. Well, nobody was on me. I'd take off, and he'd throw it about 70 yards. Well, we won the game on that play, 12-6. So 50 some years later, I get a guy come up, tap me on the shoulder. I turn around, and I'm going to be politically correct. It was an African American. My mother was an Indian, so I have no problem using the term Indian. But he was a Native American, and so I said, I don't think I know you. He says, no. He said, you wouldn't remember me. He says, but if you remember the year that you beat us in Haskell, he said, Coach told me if you went up and ordered a box of popcorn, I was supposed to sit down with you and help you eat it. So he didn't see me. It's what he was saying. So my last story is I played with Nolan Ryan. I was fortunate enough to play center field behind one of the greatest pitchers ever. I got to see more guys strike out and go back to the dugout, and it was really an impressive feat. So in 74, I had been traded to Milwaukee. So in July or August, late in the year, Nolan is in town with the Angels and I'm playing. So I step up the first time. I hit a ball just a little bit above my hands and went where about 5 guys dove for it and couldn't get it. So I'm 1 for 1. He threw me a changeup. The next time I hit a double to left center field. The next time he threw me a pitch low and away, a fastball, I hit it right by his ear. Now Nolan has this Texas twang about him. So my 4th at bat, I come up, getting ready to step in the box, and he used to get off the mound, and he'd take the ball and he'd cock his head, and he'd rub it up, and, you know, we're on, and then he'd go back up on the mound. Well, he's coming. He keeps coming. He's about from me to you. He goes, "Where are you going? Listen, Nutsy." And I'll tell you why he called me Nutsy in a minute, but I stepped back in the hit. He went out and threw it right down the middle, and I popped it up. So I'm 3 for 4 lifetime against Nolan. My Nutsy story, if I got time to tell my Nutsy story, okay. My Nutsy story, I'm going to give you an incident where it'll never be in the record books, although it could, and it probably should. But I had a put out at every base as an outfielder 1 year. The first one, Louis Aparicion's hitting. He hits a little slow roller down third. Our third baseman, Gene Freeze, throws it down the right field line. Now I'm playing center field, so stay along with me here. I'm in center field, the ball's over here. Where's the play gonna be? Probably at second base. So I start running towards behind second base, behind the shortstop position, looking to see if the throw's coming in. Our right fielder drops the ball, and Louis looks back and sees that. I know he's going third because I played with him. So now he's going to third, and I keep running. Well, here comes the ball, and I played third base. That's where I played when I was in Liberal, where I signed as a third baseman. So here's Gene Freeze waiting on the throw. Here comes the throw. Here's Louis. I go, boom, boom, tag Louis. There you go. Third baseman said, "Get back in center field, you nutsy," and I won't finish it. But he said, so that's how I got the nickname Nutsy. Going back to the play where Frank Robinson hit Al Weiss's knee, he's laying there at second base, knocked out. Well, nobody took advantage of it, so I ran in from the outfield and I said, "Tommy," as our first baseman, Tommy McGraw, "Throw me the ball, Tommy." He threw me the ball. I tagged him out, give the ball to the pitcher, and Nestor Shylock. You have to know Nestor, been in the big leagues for 30, 35 years, just a character. I'm a great guy, good umpire. He goes, "You're out, and you're out cold." That's the exact word. So now I got third, I got second. Now we get where, if you see this, you know that the infielders should have done a little more work in spring training. If you see a guy throw second base, first base, shortstop, first base, second base, pitcher, okay, that's a rundown when you're in a rundown. So I like to be involved, as you can see. I like to, didn't like to just stand in the outfield like they do nowadays. Okay, you go get that ball. It's a little too far from me. So I see the guy take too big a turn at first base. They throw behind him to the first baseman. They throw it to the shortstop, who throws it back to the first baseman, and I'm running. The first baseman now chases him and lobs it to the shortstop or second baseman about 30 feet from the base. And now I cut in front of the pitcher. Get out of here, boy. And catch the ball and do what you're supposed to do. You come to the ball when they got a run down, the runner's coming, you go to them and they give the ball, you tag them out and go back to the outfield. Well, that's what it is. So I got it out at all three bases. My manager, Eddie Stanky, who was hard to play for, difficult, very trying guy, but I learned more baseball from him. He said, "Okay, kid." He said, "You get it out, you put a guy out at home plate." He said, "I'll buy you a new suit." I said, "I don't like suits." Said, I'll buy you some new shoes. I said, I'll take the shoes. So, well, if you have any questions, fire away, because I'd be glad to answer whatever you got. Make them tough.
I'm just curious, way back then, baseball isn't developed on high school level like it is here. Did rural have baseball?
No. My sophomore year, I'll tell you, that's an interesting story there. My sophomore year, Alton Hahn is our coach, okay? And we go out. First, I'm on the track team too. So first, I'm a jumper. So I got the high jump, the broad jump, and the pole vault. I have to go dig my pit. It's sand. I'm digging all 3 pits. And I go do my work. Now I go over to the baseball field and practice with a baseball team. And we played 4 games. 4. Barton, Scranton, Haskell, and Seaman. That was our schedule. We had no such thing as a state tournament or regionals or anything like that. So that was it. And then after that, there was no baseball in Topeka, not for a long, long time. A good friend of mine, Bill Dudding, who was had kids at Seaman, he called me up one year. He says, "What do you think it would take to start a baseball program here at Seaman?" I said, "Roughly 25,000-30,000 should do it." So they started it up, and they've had a great program. Bush Snell's probably, if not one of the best coaches in the state, he's definitely the best coach here in Topeka, in my mind.
I listened to your story, and it's really a tribute to obviously your tremendous athleticism. Because I'm thinking about that. I know you didn't grow up playing, you didn't play a lot of baseball.
No, different. We played Legion ball. Now, Jerry Walshmith, who's been successful, he owned a couple of nursing homes, retirement manor. He pitched for us, and we won the state tournament here as Legion team. Then we went to Oklahoma for a regional. Well, he ended up pitching at KU and had a pretty good career at KU, but we just wasn't. They thought it was too expensive. I don't know how it can be too expensive. Get some young ladies to stitch up those sliding disasters and wash them and go out and get them.
Can you talk about your books?
Okay. Well, I walked in we have an office. I walked in the office and sat down at my typewriter, which is still operational, by the way. I sat down and I typed out Artie the Awesome Apple, which is a resurrection theme about an apple. It's the tallest one on the tree, and the apple pickers come to get the apples. It's the most beautiful apple because everybody points at it. They can't reach it, so it stays up there. Well, picture what's going to happen to an apple up there in the winter. Eventually, it drops down. The kids, the Bibby kids, go over and they say, "Oh, there's that awful apple. Let's stomp them." So they stomp them, and then the seeds go down in the cracks in the ground. It snows next winter, the next spring, and a brand new apple tree pops up. So that's all of my books, the kids' books. Each individual, most of them are about the animals. Have a little problem they've got to overcome. Clyde the clumsy camel is cross-eyed, but he gets glasses. He can perform in the circus. Buster the beaver who wouldn't brush. He's got bad teeth. So Barney the blue moose. How many blue mooses do you see? He's the only blue moose in their family, and his mother can't figure it out. Then my novels, I've got 4 novels, but only 2 of them are here. The other 2 are just being printed. One of them is Come Back. And if you take a look at it, my illustrator he's unbelievable. This was done on a piece of slate with a knife. What I needed, I said, look, here's a picture of me. I need for you to put a mustache and a beard on. And 2 days later, there you go. And this is a book. I was watching Fox News one night, and they were talking about a guy that had a ranch 20 miles from the border. And he said, "What's your problem?" He said, "Well, I got people bringing drugs, and they're going right through my property a couple times a week." And so, I said, "Well, how do you know?" He said, "I got to go out and pick up all their junk that they leave." So, "Can you prove it?" He said, yeah, I put out deer cameras. So the 1, 5, and 11 out of the 11 had AK-47s. The rest of them had marijuana mail on the back. So I'm riding along this day in my car with my imagination running wild like it always does. And I go, what would I do if that was my ranch on the border? So I created a Mexican-American family that he inherited 800 acres from his great-grandpa. He's a Black Hawk pilot, and he's in Afghanistan most of the time. His boys are twins. They graduate from high school. They're not sure what they're going to do. Well, he brings the Navy SEAL home, and the SEAL takes him to the barn and says, hey, let me tell you some interesting stories. So he tells them about snipers. And so they become snipers. So now all three of the guys in the family are in Afghanistan, and the mom and the daughter, 15, are home on 800 acres by themselves. The drug cartel sees that that's a nice soft spot to come through. So they start coming through. Well, the boys come home from Afghanistan, and there's a little problem. So that's how that came about. And, you know, what I'll have you do, if you would, is if you come up and you have time to look, and if you want to purchase one, just put your name and phone number down. I'll call you and I'll deliver it to you, whatever. Oh, and then with the novels, the Sports Illustrated with Mickey Mantle and I on the cover, I'll sign that and personalize it. That comes with the novels.
Any more questions? Thank you, Ken.
I mentioned Sports World Ministries. It's a very good cause. We try to help out with that as much as we can.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
What a great program. Thank you, Ken, for that great program. It makes you proud to be a Topekan, too. Next week, we are not going to be meeting here. We are going to be meeting at Camp Cowabunga. And I didn't check this out with the zoo, but I'm pretty sure if you go to the entrance, you can just say, I'm here for Rotary, and they'll let you in. If they don't, then call me and I'll come down and get you in. So let's, yes, Karen.
Quick announcement. I see that Raymond has dropped off the screen. Just a heads up to folks, I have developed a relationship with some folks on one of the Cox cable channels, Your View, and they were looking for someone to interview about the upcoming AAPI month, Asian American Islanders. And Raymond agreed to be interviewed. He's being interviewed right now. I would encourage people then to watch for hopefully Marie's little newsletter. We'll have the times it should be aired, like maybe 4 times next month or next week, and also be available later on YouTube.
So those that you didn't hear, Karen just announced that Rayhan is being interviewed, and Marie will follow up in her email and let us know how to get attached to that. So let's stand and say our 4-way test. Of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill, better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Will it be fun and kind? Thank you all for coming. Thank you.